everybody is nervous. You know, everybody is wondering, who am I? Who's this professor? Is he going to be, you know, brutally tough? What's he going to be? You know, so I come in and I have 2 bags with me. In those bags are 2 or 3 beach balls. and before I introduce them, before I ask them their names, before I tell them who I am, I might say I'm Chris Martin, but you know, but at the very beginning of the class, you know, very beginning, they just sat there, their little hearts are beating like this, wondering what the hell's going to happen, you know, and so I say to them, everybody, you sit down. I say to everybody stand up, please.
To get comfortable?
Yes. Very good. To get comfortable. To get comfortable. So to loosen up, to lose our self-consciousness. Right? Very good. Who can think of another reason for that?
To help them kind of become familiar with each other.
Yes, very good. Teamwork. You get them already at the very beginning a sense of community, that they're belonging to something. It's not just, that's right. I don't want to just come in each week, sit down, you know, listen passively and leave. No, that's not what it's about. Very good. Okay. Very, very good. Okay, and I'll come back to you.
I was just thinking break the ice.
Break the ice. Very good. No, that's excellent. Very good. And you said?
That reflects your personality and maybe sets a bit of a tone.
Very good. Sets a tone, sets an expectation. I wanted to be active. I don't want to be passive. I want to be physically alive. Okay, and then I get answers like that, and then I say that there's another reason we play it, is because it's a metaphor. It's a metaphor for the class. You will have lots of things to do you'll have lots of things to do in this class. Write reports, answer questions, make films, you know, blah, blah, blah. You know, you have lots of things to do. And you've got to keep them all up in the air. You can't let any of them fail. You know, you're going to fail a class if you don't do everything. You know, you've got to participate in class. You've got to write, and you've got to meet deadlines, blah, 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 blah. Okay, so it's a metaphor. And actually, sometimes I'll add, it's also a metaphor for life, you know, because all of you have personal... Everybody okay? Okay, now, so the next thing I do is I get out these name tags. I call these name tags. I expect you do as well. And I'll go around the room one by one, asking them for their names. So I'll say, what's your name? Megan. I'll write it down. Megan. Okay. And then I'll say, now at this point I'm very gentle, because Megan, you know, may be feeling apprehensive, you know, and. You know, and so I'm very gentle. You know, I mean, I you know, so I'll say something like, so Megan, would you like to tell the class? Don't do it. Would you like to tell the class a little? I say, Megan, would you stand up? So I can begin, because my goal is to learn their names within ideally a week. So when they come in this class, I say, hi Megan, how are you? Did you get that homework done? Or, you know, whatever, you know what I mean? So to begin, it's very important to learn their names. Now, then I say, Megan, I'm going to put this in front of you. I put it like this, okay? And in front of them. And I say to Megan, would you please write your name on the back? You please name right on the back, okay? Okay, Evan, why do I do that?
No idea.
Yeah, yes, funny, isn't it? I know, that's really odd, I agree.
To make sure it's right.
Yeah, very good. To make sure it's right. Yeah.
So other students can see
Yes,
it?
yes. To make sure other students can see it. So it's right here. So when, what's your name again? Meredith. So when Meredith is responding to a question, instead of saying, well, I disagree with her because no, I disagree with Megan. You can look over. I like what Megan said, but I disagree with what she said about blah, blah. You know what I mean? So they begin to. I very firmly insist that they learn each other's names and use each other's names. So again, all about building community, building a sense that they belong to something worth belonging to. Okay? Very, very good. Any questions about that so far?
I have a question.
Yes.
Where do you get all those name tags?
Oh, okay. Yeah, what you do? Yeah, very good question. Excellent question. I have okay. So I keep a whole stack of them. Where I get them from, those I go to the front office and I say to them, I'm a new professor. You know, I've been here 10 years, but I'm saying could I have some? So that was a complicated answer for a simple question. Yeah. So ask for them. Yeah. If I answer that question, well, anybody else got a question? How do you find them? Anybody else got any questions? I mean, that's a good question. I know where I get them. I go to a person who helps me, Casey Bridges, and I simply say, Casey, I need more of those name tags. Can you get them for me? And she gets them for me. But it's a good question. Anybody else?
The name tags didn't work out. I just did hard paper.
Get a sheet.
And
Have them do it. Yeah, they can just make it out. That's right. But well, this is nice because it's got a little bit of it's got a little flat, it's a little bit of stiffness to it, so it stays there. The fused paper is flaccid and limp. And we don't like things that are flaccid or limp, do we, Scott? No, we don't.
You have them bring the tags, the name tags?
Now, see, that's a very good question. That's a very good question. Thanks for raising it. I collect them. I collect them, but now why?
So you can hand them back out.
Why? So
Yeah.
that next time I can do a very quick and effective, what's it called? Roll, without having to say, "Is Fred here?" And I go through them in that tedious, boring way. I simply come in, I get them, and I slam them down. Get your name tags, everybody, and they all come up and get them. So I want them moving. I want them moving around the room. Okay, so they all come and get them, and then I can see within seconds who's left there. I can say, Maria, where's Maria? I don't know where Maria is today. Is she okay? And then, if they don't show up, you may disagree with this, but this is what I do. I call them. I want to make sure they're okay. That they haven't been in a car accident. They're not sick. They need my help in some way. So I actually call them. My class goes from 5:30 to 8 o'clock. By the time I get home after office hours at 10 o'clock, I pick up the phone and call, Fred, are you okay? You weren't there tonight in class. Is everything okay? Now, they'll often say, oh, I overslept. There's some, it's not, they're okay, and so then I'll say, then my tone will turn a little bit firmer, and I'll say, well, I missed you, and I want you to catch up. I'll just talk about it, whatever the issue is, Okay, very good. So thank you for asked that question. So that's what I do. I use them as a way to, then I can quickly see who's missing. Is that okay? If I answer that, any other questions like this? Very good. Okay, so now, look, get the handout. Please get the handout in front of you. Okay, and you'll see this is divided into sections. Okay, handout, and I'll get it right away so you can then use it. Okay. So this belongs to you. And by the way, we don't have much time today, so we won't be able to go through this whole handout. It's full of ideas. Part of your homework for this workshop is to study it. Is to not to read it, but to study it with a pencil. And the ideas today will come partly from me in this handout, but also from all of you. So take notes on things you hear that sound like good ideas that you've heard other professors try and have worked for them. Okay, so very good. All righty. So let's turn. So I actually am going to skip over the section on the syllabus. Okay, because we don't have a lot of time. I'm going to skip it. You can read that tonight for homework. It's pretty straightforward. And unless anybody has any questions on it, I'm going to go on to the second section. Anybody have any? Yes,
I have a big. The big issue you may want to say it's for another
Sure.
time. But since you brought it up,
Sure.
Your student behavior
Yes.
paragraph sort of gets close to it.
Yeah.
What is your policy, or what do other people think about students and mobile devices in class?
Okay. Well,
I have wrestling with language to put in my syllabus for the first time, saying that you may not have a mobile device. Use a mobile device in any form in my class. If I see you texting, I will confiscate your.
Yeah.
I'm at that point.
Yeah, I think that's fine. What I do is just don't allow it. I mean, I don't even have to put it in the syllabus. I simply say, if they've got it, I say, put it away, please. And I'm very firm. One of the secrets in teaching, I think, is to always go from hard to soft. Never go from soft to hard. And what I mean by that is you want to start off very firmly. If you start off, it's like being a king of a country. If you start off being very generous, easygoing, you're going to end with your head cut off. Okay? So same with teaching. You want to start very firm. So actually, in the first class, I'm quite intimidating, and a little deliberately. I tell them that I have high expectations. I want to be on time. Put away those cell phones. Do not use a cell phone in the class. Put away your laptops. You only have a permission to use laptop if I give you permission. I lay it out very, very. If I would do that 2/3 of the way through the class, it's too late. You got to. Is it making sense? You got to. Yeah. So I'm quite firm, and I just don't allow it.
Mm-hmm.
Now, having said that, I talk to them. I talk to them, and if somebody really wants to use it, I soften up later on. I'm more pliant as time goes on. But to begin with, I'm very firm about laying out what the rules are in the class. Is that okay?
Sure.
Anybody else have any comments on that? Yeah.
I was in a workshop yesterday, and they were saying that that's absolutely fine, but some students have an accommodation and they need to use their laptop
Yeah.
or something like
Yeah.
because of some learning disability.
Exactly. So that's right. So exactly.
ask permission if you need to.
Exactly. So you listen and you adapt. Yeah. Yes, Scott. I think there's two of you, but just to put a PS to what Scott very ably just said is, I think the way to do it is to lay out the basic ground rules firmly, and then adapt to someone who's disabled or someone who that sometimes you want them to, and sometimes, like Scott just said, you might even say to them, now please get out your laptops and look blah blah.
I'm sitting back. I'm telling you.
Okay. Yeah. So we have a new aphorism: don't trust anybody with a PC. Okay.
Well, what I found disturbing in teaching is, I remember when I was a student, I went from first grade through PhD, and I never took a makeup exam. I'm there when the test is given.
Right.
I find so many, I had one student take 3 makeups, others take 2.
Yeah.
How do you stop all these makeup exams? They're just sort of...
I am not sure the answer to that. Does anybody have any, Scott, anybody have any comments?
In that regard, with the name tags, I do use them, but I don't collect them. I think I will start for all the reasons you mentioned. But in the past, I tell them, when you don't bring your name tag in, you will be called on judiciously that day. So people with name tags will be called on. Those without their name tags.
Yeah, very good.
So things like distancing.
Yeah, very good. Now turn to page 2 of the handout. Turn to page 2 of the handout, and you'll see a section there, section 2, Roman numeral 2, called First Classes. My first class is on Tuesday, and you'll have new classes. You'll all be teaching next week in your new class. So look at because we're short on time. I'm going to move this along in this way. So get a pencil out, please, and put a little circle around. I'm just going to pick some of these out for interest. Now, number 1, like learn students' name. Put a little circle around number 1. Okay, turn the page and put a circle. Let's look. Number 4. Fill out the questionnaire. Number 4 and number 5. Write a letter to the professor if they've lost day of the semester. And number 6. Meet one-on-one with students. Okay, we'll pick those 4. Okay, so in silence, please. Read those with a pen in your hand. Read them carefully. And if you have more time, I'll give you about 45 seconds to read it. So read intently. And if you have more time left over, read the others as well. But read read those number 1, 4, 5, and 6. I'll give you about 30 seconds to read them. Underline anything that really resonates with you, or put a star by it. Do you have a pen? Do you have a pen with you? Do you have a pen with you? No. Okay, who came without a pen? Okay, everyone needs a pen. Do you have some pencils? Yeah. You want to always have a pen so you can take notes on because you want to take, as we're talking here, ideas will come into your mind. Maybe you know what I'm saying, maybe you know what I'm not saying, but you have an idea and you want to write it down and capture it. Don't lose, as ideas come flying into your head, don't lose those ideas. Capture them on this paper or somewhere else. Okay, now the 15 seconds to finish up. Okay. 1, 4, 5, and 6. If there's something that's puzzling you, put a question mark by it. If it means something a lot, if it resonates, put a star by it, underline it. And just we're looking just for 1 or 2 things that we can do differently in our teaching. Everybody please stand up. Please stand up and look around. You don't get such a good discussion going. But if I have you first think and ink, in other words, think and write down your ideas, like we did, and then and then you talk.
And
Will your question be finished by 3 o'clock?
Bottom line is.
Oh, good. Let's get the bottom line.
Students are afraid. Without their participation, it's boring. So how do you encourage it? I think they see it as risk-taking.
Oh, yeah, it is. Okay. So how do you get them to participate more?
How do you grade class participation?
Okay, okay, very good. So I tell you what, we'll come to that actually. That's a big part of what I'm going to do. No, thank you for raising it.
Don't stay.
Yeah. All right, very good. No, it's a great question. We'll make sure we cover that.
What with your
So I just now want to ask if anybody has any. I'm going to call on 1 or 2 of you, but anybody. So the question now is: anything you want to discuss here? Is anything in here that struck you as useful or yes?
Number 5, I thought was very interesting.
Number 5, right as the professor did. Oh yes, I love this. This came from a book called The Art of Possibility. Some of you may have read it. It's a wonderful book. And
Art of the what?
Pardon?
What did you say?
The Art of Possibility. Maybe it's the art of maybe it's the art of the possible. It's a book about teaching, and it's a wonderful book. But anyway, the point is that what I do is I say to the students, this is in the first class. I give them a homework sheet, written out homework sheet. I have about 7 or 8 items to do, and one of them is this letter. And I say to them, I want you to write me a letter dated the last day of class. So that'll be December the 12th or something, So they're writing as if they were 2.5 months, 3 months had passed, and this letter is to me, and I say to them, I want you to write about, and it's only a half a page perhaps, but I want you to write about why you deserve to get an A in the class, and more importantly, how you became transformed by the class. How your life was transformed and changed by the class. This is an exercise in something Stephen Covey, the late Stephen Covey, talks about. I've forgotten what he said. His words were. He'll come back to me in a second. But anyway, it's an exercise in imagination, because you don't know what's going to happen in 3 months. You don't know how you're going to feel. By then you may despise the professor. But the point is, you're thinking ahead and you're trying to imagine the future and then think back to what's going to happen. So this is I find it a very useful exercise. I'm not sure of its pedagogical value, to be honest, but I find it interesting, and the students find it fun, because at the end of the semester, I give them out, and they've completely forgotten they did it, most of them. And I give it out on the last day. And I tell them, please read it and see what you think. And it's amazing how many of them will say, this is extraordinary. This is just the letter that I would write now if I were writing. It's amazing. Okay, some questions, John.
Yeah, do you find that when you do that exercise, people just kind of echo the course objectives in your syllabus?
No, because I say to them, I don't want that. I say, I want you to, what have you done to get an A? How have you exceeded your own expectations, my expectations? What have you done? What have you created new? What have you done which is startling? And what have you done to yourself as a person, as a learner, as a student? How have you changed your life? What have you done? So it's a question which is asking them to dig deeply into themselves. Yeah. So I write comments. They didn't get back for 3.5 months, but I write comments on them, and I don't usually write this is dull and that's unimaginative, because honestly, the students respond well to it. They love it. They love this notion of, well, what could I have done? So I find I get good results. Yeah.
What do the students who don't get A's say after that?
Well, I don't know. They are probably in the handful of students who will not recognize the letter, will be disappointed. They will read the letter, and I expect there are students like this who will read the letter and say, "Gosh, that's not what I would say." He was a really crappy professor. You know what I mean? I have no idea, but yeah.
Do you read them, the letters?
Oh, do I read them? Very carefully, because it gives me an insight into their character.
And does that ever alter how you go about the course?
No. Yeah. No, because I throw myself into the course with as much energy and vigor as I can, and I teach them equally. No, I don't. No. Yeah. Any other questions? Yes.
You do that with your.
And by half an hour. And I have them for the next 3 weeks. Okay. And I bring them to class. And I say to them, fill your name in here. I want to see you. Well, I see myself as a benevolent dictator. That's the way I see myself. So I give them lots of say in the class, but I also I 5 seconds. Okay, now some of you may have heard of this phrase, the flipped classroom. I'm a strong advocate of it. This is where the students learn, get your notes or video before the class, get your lecture before the class, study it. When they come to class, they engage in questioning and problem solving, and instead of the old way where you come to class, listen passively while the professor just talks on and on, and you take notes and you leave. So this idea of having the students much more engaged and wrestling or struggling with the content and not just listening passively is a very good idea. Okay, everybody stand up. Everybody stand up. Look around the room. Would you want to contribute to anything you want to share?
Evan and I were actually talking about.
This was just my experience. I had a class of 35 students, and it was voluntary to come to office hours, and almost no guys, 0 guys would come.
Anything you want to say? Yes.
When the point here about a positive environment, right, and respecting each other,
right.
Do you provide them with like active listening tools and positive reinforcement tools?
Only by modeling it. Only by modeling it. I mean, I don't say here are the rules, or but I try when they talk in class, I actively listen to teach them the skill of actively listen. Things like that. Does it make sense?
Yes. Do you call them out if they say a negative kind of thing?
What I try to do, I won't actually call them. I won't ever reprimand them publicly, but I will say something like, well, maybe I really got a way to get to know the shy student because they have such a wonderful. My 3 daughters are all shy, and so I know something about this, So just supposing, what's your name? Matthew. Just supposing Matthew was shy, was a quiet. I've got to know him in the class, and this, I'm making this up, and just supposing that Matthew is shy, and I say to Matthew, and he doesn't talk in class. He doesn't. First, not. He wants to stay quiet and just listen. But I want him to put it. So I do several things. When we're meeting one-on-one meetings, I say, Matthew, look, I know you're a great guy. You have great ideas. I've read your essays at class. They're wonderful. You've got great insights and observations. And I know you don't like talking in class. I don't blame you. I was like that when I was young too. So let's do this. I'm going to let you know if I'm going to call you, so you can get prepared. Okay? And I'm going to ask you about the role that Abraham Lincoln had in terms of developing his military strategy in 1862, and how he, as an autodidact, actually learned that and knew it better than his generals. So I'm going to discuss that with you, because you actually raised that in your last essay last week. Okay? So next week, come prepared. So a week comes along to concept class. Matthew, any thoughts about President Lincoln's effort to teach himself about military strategy? And there he goes, he's all saying, and then the other thing is, I don't know. So people like Matthew need time. They need time to collect their thoughts. The words they're not loud-mouthed and garrulous. The words don't just come flying out like they do for a lot of people. So he needs time. So I will pause and I'll wait. And supposing Megan, and this is not true, but supposing Megan is one of those people, it's full of words come just coming out. She's very garrulous and loquacious and so on, and she's very good, and so I asked Matthew. There's a silence because Matthew is collecting his thoughts. Megan, put the hand. Megan, hang on a second. Megan, hang on a second. I've asked Matthew. Matthew's on the floor. I'll come to you later. So just hang on to that thought. Let's give Matthew a chance to say. You know, and so I'll handle it that way. Okay. Okay. That's enough about that. I just wanted to talk about the important responsibility we have to protect the more reserved students. Yeah.
Do you try to inventory in the beginning who might be the prospective Matthews and Megans
Yes.
out there? So
Yes,
you
because
can
in that
start
question,
early?
absolutely,
Yeah.
because in the questionnaire that I put out, which I mentioned on page 2 or 3 in there, the questionnaire, one of the questions is, what learning style do you benefit from most? Or things like, I forget how I wish. I'll send it to you tonight. But it has a question in there about learning and so on. Hello, hi, Nadine, how are you?
I didn't mean to crash the party.
No. It's great to have you here. Someone answered your question? Yeah.
Get advance notice of.
Yes,
who might
so
require
I do try to find it. And of course, when I talk to them once, the one-on-one meetings are so important, so I get to know them better. Yeah, good question.
Just a comment on that. One technique that I used in a course at ITA was that when I threw out the question, I said, and write your thoughts down, take 30 seconds and write down your thoughts. Like, don't say it out loud right away.
Very good.
So then everyone got a chance to, like you said, collect their thoughts, write something down, and then I know I can cold call on anyone because they all prepared something to say.
Yeah.
So it doesn't let those people that are very quick get all the answers.
Very, very, very good. Yeah, that's the very good. That's part of the think, pair, share strategy we talked about earlier. Very, very good. Very good. Anybody else have any comments at this point? Or anything on this classroom atmosphere they want to ask me about or talk? Yes.
I guess a comment about the inclusive nature of the classroom, which I really appreciate, because you're going to encounter a lot of different types of students with a lot of different passionate ideas about things here, and just understanding that piece and helping to garner civility in the classroom and understand how to guide them in that process.
Yes, very good. Yes, thank you for that. Yes, that's very good. And as I say, the professor can model that behavior of civility, of encouraging debate, and even encouraging conflict, but encouraging constructive conflict. You don't want either end of the spectrum where people have an unnatural calmness, where people are not talking, they're holding in, they're filtering their thoughts, and they're fearful of speaking out. And you're on the other end where people are backbiting and demeaning and all that. You want, but you want healthy, constructive conflict. Very good, very good. Anybody else? Okay, so let's move on to let's go to page 5 and look at classroom specifics. And this time, let's circle, let's see, number 1, number 4, and let's see, number 6, and how about number 9? Okay, quickly read those. Read those very fast. Give you 30 seconds to just read over those with a pen in your hand, underline things that resonate with you, that mean something to you, you think you might be able to use. Number 6, and I will send you those tonight in my email. If you make sure you're on that list, or if you're not, send me an email with your, and I'll just put an email. Chris, please send me the games, and I use those quite a lot. They only last about 2 or 3 minutes, and they're wonderful ways to get to know, for the students to get to know each other and so on. So I'll send you the games. So let me go to you first. Any reaction?
Well, we were talking about the games as well, particularly in respect to a block class.
Yeah.
Very long. And,
Yes.
and so you need.
Oh, it's such a great way to,
up.
absolutely.
And then we also talked about circling back around at the next class to kind of reinforce something you learned from the prior class.
Very good,
so
yes.
that you have this kind of reinforcement.
Yes, very good. I'll often start the class by saying, listen, I want you to write 1 minute of what you've learned last time, or questions you have from last time, or I'll often wrap up the class by saying, I just want you to write now for 1 minute paper, please write about what you learned, the most important thing you learned today, or something like that, just to get them thinking. Yeah.
Allison works for an organization that does maybe share the name for icebreaker and games and things like that.
Yes, I just left actually, but for a long time I was with Playworks.
Oh,
And,
yes.
so they use games to teach kids.
Wonderful, yes.
but they have a huge games library at playworks.org/games. And it has icebreakers, it has lots of different types of games. They're elementary focused, but you can use them for a variety of settings. We did corporate recesses all the time.
Yeah. Right, thank you.
And there's minute movers and stuff like that, which are
Yeah, exactly. No, terrific. Yeah, no, I'm familiar with that. That's very excellent. Anybody else? Let's see, who hasn't spoken? You. Any thoughts? Any reactions? Anything you want to ask about? Any observations about this, or anything you want to share with us?
I suppose we were just discussing about the issue of actually getting all your content into the amount of time that you have, and maybe running out of time from fitting all these things in a syllabus or outlined into your allotted hour.
Yes, this is the point Jeffrey just left, but the point that Jeffrey was discussing earlier. Yeah, go ahead. So the question is how to do it.
Right.
Yes. And yes, it's a problem because you have all this material, you've got to get it out. Then we've got a guest speaker. You know what I mean? It's all written out in sort of blocks of 2 or 3 minutes or something, or short, so that you can actually see it, and then they get a sense of satisfaction. We've done. Oh yes, we've done that. They get a sense of satisfaction of what's going on. Does that make sense?
It does, but I'm coming into teaching here, so there's a little bit of feeling like I'm going to be all over the place, switching so much, and so if you have any words on me.
Well, I think it is tempting to stand up behind a lectern and give your lecture, because you're in control. They're sitting quietly. It's orderly. They're taking notes, and you don't really know what they're doing, but you're up there talking, so you can feel you're doing your job. But in a way, that's a bit of a what's the word?
Downer.
Yes, it is, but it's also a bit cowardly. I think what you have to do is remember you are a benevolent dictator. I think you grip the class by the neck, by the collar, and you seize it and shake it, and that's the metaphor that you want, rather than a passive one of just talking. You've somehow got to shake them up out of their torpor, and so it is difficult. It's not easy. Okay, does someone have a question? Well, hang on a second. Yeah.
I have a quick question. So are you using PowerPoint slides?
No, PowerPoint is a just dense class. PowerPoint, if you want to kill a class, if you want to actually deaden it, then you use PowerPoint. Now, I'm saying that I'm exaggerating. I'm being hyperbolic, because obviously there are times when you can use, if you're skillful at using PowerPoint, you just have visuals and pictures and not lots of printing, then it can work. But generally, I would avoid it. Your goal is to make you the center of the class. You want to have them tell you, and then when the attention is back to them, they're the center of the class. So you don't get distracted and vague and going off to sleep. The secret is not to let them go to sleep. So what I do is I'm often walking around class. I'm looking when they're talking. I'm looking at them. And that's a paradox. If I come and talk to you, you'd think everyone else would stop listening because I'm talking to her. But in fact, the paradox is that if I go up and talk to you, I mean not too close, not getting her personal space, but from this distance, in fact everyone else pays more attention. That's a paradox. I love that paradox. I can't explain it, but that's the way it is. So don't use PowerPoint unless you really want to. I mean, you want to inject your own body with as much vibrancy and vitality as you can. You want to convey, as I said earlier, and you want to convey in your body, through your language, through your eyes, through your hands, through your body motion, that you don't want to be anywhere else than right here. This is where you want to be, right there. So you want to convey that passion if you can. Yeah.
I really wonder, I'm sorry, I know that PowerPoint can be deadening, but in relatively technical subjects,
you have to do
economics, sure. I really feel that they don't have a visual, and yes, they're better designed slides and using graphical things and whatever, but I don't know how to teach without at this point.
Okay, all right. So I think then the way to do this is not think about radical change, but just leaning in that. Yeah, very, very good. Okay, very quickly, yeah.
Yeah, a response to your question, Use the 20-minute rule, and they mentioned it at the active learning seminar the other day, and I knew it before. The attention span of these kids is no more than 20 minutes, so break up your lesson accordingly.
Yeah, and I was saving less than 20, but that's right. Yeah, good point. Thank you. Any other comments? Anybody want to make here about anything in here? Show up early in class is important. I think show up early. I get there 10 minutes before, and so as they walk in, I can greet them by name. How's the football match? You know, how's your mum doing? Is she better? You know, things like, you know, we are just talking with them and getting to, you know. Okay, and then, okay, so let's go, now very good, let's go to classroom interactions. Bottom page 6, classroom interactions, and very quickly look at number 1, make the class interactive. Look at number 3, and look at number 5, although we covered that in the discussion earlier on. Okay, so 1, 3, 5, let me see if there's a, I want to pick another one here. 1, 3, and let's, number 7, and number 10 is a good one. 7 and 10. Okay, quickly read those. Mark it right here. Read them with a pen. Mark it up. It was 1, 3, 5, 7, and 10. But you read them all. I'm just picking those out because we're short of time. But you can read them. You can read anything you want. Got 1 minute. Seconds. My experience has been that they are constructive. They want the class to succeed. They want the professor to succeed. They want to learn. So their suggestions are very constructive. They're sometimes amusing, and everyone gets a good laugh out of them, which is fun. But generally they're very good. They don't say trifling. They're usually not trifling or denigrating or pejorative. They're usually pretty good comments.
Do you take all the comments that people give to you and modify your
Yes, I do. Yes.
Even the ones that you may not necessarily.
Well, what I do is, as I said, I get the next class.
Right.
I read them all out loud so they know they've been listened to.
Right.
I read them out loud and I say what I'm going to do. I can't do that. I'm so sorry. Or this is a good idea. This is what I'm going to do in response to that question. You know. Does that make sense? Yeah. Very good.